Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by PSE&G, TD Charitable Foundation, Prudential Foundation, Roche, the Newark Public Schools, Terrell Fund, New Jersey Natural Gas, proud to support education in our communities, the MCJ Amelia Foundation, and by the Merck Company Foundation.
This is One-on-One.
When you first heard that they were doing Charlie Rose and Gayle King, didn't you go, what?
People like laughing at others, so I don't mind if the other is me.
See, you go right into the character. That's what it is.
I'm bringing families together a half an hour each week. Man, I'm doing something special.
And so I do feel successful.
Welcome to One-on-One. I'm Steve Adubato. I want to introduce you to someone who's a giant in the field of higher education. 43 years
That's
in
correct.
the field. Let me introduce you, Dr. Raymond Yannuzzi, president of Camden County College. 43 years, started in Baltimore, right?
I started in Baltimore in 1971.
What made you go into higher ed?
I was an undergraduate in English and classics, and felt that that was the field I wanted to teach other people about and get people involved in reading and writing. And I taught English for 20 years and then went into academic administration.
Interesting. We've been talking to college presidents from across the region and asking a series of questions really about the nature of higher education today, who is going to college today, why they're going, and how it's different. President Obama has proposed that by the year 2020, the U.S. will change its position in the world as it relates to college graduates. Explain what it is and why it's significant.
Well, it's something that community colleges will play a big role in because these days, to get any kind of a good job, you need more than a high school education.
By the way, what has the president proposed?
Well,
He's proposed that the U.S. will have more college graduates.
Or certificates. I mean, degrees or certificates.
Right.
I mean, one thing community colleges do, short of a baccalaureate degree or an associate's degree, is train people short-term for a variety of certificates in healthcare, in technologies and computers, and that can be a contribution to student success.
Sure. So the president is saying we need to catch up.
Yes, we need a better trained workforce, need a better trained population.
You know, it's interesting. For years, the whole discussion, and it continues, has been, Doctor, about the need for greater access to higher education and more opportunity for students to be able to afford to go to college. That continues. Affordability continues to be an issue. But let's talk about student success. Let's define what student success means in an academic experience in higher ed.
Well, it has a variety of definitions, and one of the things New Jersey County Colleges have come together to do is to define that for us so that we can make our case known and make it known better what we do in higher education. So for some students, success is transfer to a baccalaureate degree. For some, they can be successful in a job with an associate's degree. Others can do a year, maybe less even, and a certificate that advances them on the job. And then for still others that we work with, success is getting them back on academic track through GED to complete their high school education, because we serve many students who haven't graduated high school and they need to catch up if they want to get into the workforce.
So it's not, you're saying academic success in college doesn't necessarily mean the same thing for one person as it would mean for another.
At community colleges, we serve so many different students, and each one has a slightly different definition of what they come to us for.
But isn't it challenging, Doctor, the whole question of being ready to go to college? There are a large number of people watching us right now, and not just New Jersey, but in other states, who say, I'd like to do this. I'd like to get back on track. You talked about getting back on track, the
Correct.
GED, the high school diploma, who just don't feel confident enough. What does it take?
Well, it takes a lot. It takes dedication on their part, and it takes the flexibility in the programs on our part to give them the skills that they need to get into the fields that they want to study. Many students come to us needing some work in math, reading, writing, and one of the things community colleges have always been committed to is getting students up to the level.
How do you do that? How do you actually, is it called, I know that word is not a great word.
Remediation, developmental education, whatever it is, it's looking at where the students are, assessing what skills they have, and seeing what skills they need for the program they want to be in.
So you partner with high schools. How do you do that?
Oh, we do a lot of work with high schools. We go into the high schools early, sophomore year, junior year, to get students ready, both in terms of exploring what programs we have, but also giving them an opportunity to take the placement test that they would take when they come to the college, taking it sooner and having them see where they would stand. So we say, look, you know, you're a junior, you want to come to community college in a year, here's what you need to do in math and English, and we give them opportunities to catch up at their high school, working with their high school. They can come to our campus a variety of ways. And this is only going to increase in years ahead with the Common Core curriculum and the new kinds of tests that high schools will be doing.
Curious about this. Do you think most people who go to community college, and by the way, county college, community college, we use those terms interchangeably. Do you think most doctors are saying to themselves, I'm going because I want to prepare myself to, quote, get a job, be in a better position to get a job, as opposed to, again, I know everyone goes for different reasons, but is the primary reason to put myself in a better position to compete in a competitive, highly competitive job marketplace?
More people these days with that orientation than perhaps in other generations, because it's so important these days, as I said, to have some sort of a credential in order to even get your first foothold into
So
the
for
job
example,
market.
people going to the culinary arts, I know that's a big field. People going into, give me some of the fields again.
Healthcare, we do an extensive
Like what would you
amount
do in
of
healthcare?
Oh, nursing, various kinds of therapies, X-ray, respiratory.
Dental programming?
And computer programming, manufacturing. There's a slight increase now again in manufacturing technology education. We have several grants that we're going to be developing this year statewide to give students skills that they can use in manufacturing, although it's not what used to be manufacturing. Now people need to know robotics and computer integrated controls in order to work in a factory.
Before I let you out of here, make the case on the costs.
Community college costs are still very reasonable. A year at most community colleges is around between $35,000 and $4,000 in New Jersey.
Not a semester, for a year?
A year, yeah.
$4,000.
Yeah, or slightly less, maybe some schools slightly more, but that's around the average in New Jersey for a year.
How do those economics wind up working? I mean, how do you, again, most college presidents we talk to, both private, public, four-year institutions, the ongoing incredible challenge to make those numbers work out.
Especially for us, because we try to keep tuition low, and the students that we serve are the least capable of paying for the most part. So they rely on federal aid, state aid. We are supported, community colleges, by the counties and by the state. But it's a delicate balance of those three funding sources. And we try to be very economical, and we try to keep the costs as low as we can for the students.
43 years in, you still love this work?
I do, and I want to do it for a few more years, perhaps go back to the classroom for the last 2 or 3.
You love the classroom too?
I do, but I've been out 20 years now.
Listen,
I've done a few courses, but I haven't
you keep
been
your hand in
full-time.
there.
Well, you do. As a president, you have your hand in everything, but not as deep as you might want sometimes.
Dr. Raymond Yannuzzi, president of Camden County College, I want to thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Steve.
Good to have you. One-on-one will continue right after this. Stay with us. Thank you, Doctor.
If you would like more information on this program, or if you'd like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Visit us online at oneonone.org, or find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato, PhD.
Hi, I'm Steve Adubato. You can tell I'm not in the studio, obviously. In fact, we are at an extraordinary location. We are at the AT&T Global Network Operations Center, otherwise known as GNOC. And we're about to introduce a gentleman who knows all about this place. He is Mike Muniz. He is the Director of Network Operations here. Mike, let me ask you, this extraordinary place plays such an important role, otherwise known as GNOC. Explain it to us.
So the GNOC is AT&T's premier center for surveilling the AT&T Global Network. From this center, we can see the entire network, how traffic flows throughout the network, and we can do things to mitigate issues that happen across the network. There is no other center like this in the world.
Why do you say that? I mean, there are other organizations that try to monitor what's going on. What makes the GNOC so different?
Because from here we can see everything across the network. It's not just a little piece here and there. We can see everything, and we can do things here from this main center that can affect the global network. So not just domestically, but worldwide.
By the way, we can only show you so much because obviously of security issues, right, Mike? Correct. So as we show video, as much as we can show, tell folks or give folks a sense of what we can help people, what AT&T is helping people do.
I think people are helped because of the things that they don't see. So most customers never see all the things that we do here because of the things we're doing help mitigate any problems before a customer can see them.
For example?
For example, there may be large geographic areas where they're having some kind of natural disaster, a problem with local things going on.
Talk about Sandy. I mean, we're doing this program in the summer of 2013. It'll air later. Question, during Sandy, what's happening here at GNOC?
So in Sandy, there was a lot of preparation work ahead of time. This is the center where we make sure that things are staged ahead of the storm. We have lots of resources staged outside the potentially affected area, ready to move once the storm is over. Once the storm is over, this is the command and control center where those things get deployed throughout the network. We do that quickly. We have lots of plans and checklists in place that we can do that. We know everything's supposed to go, send it out, and begin to restore service very, very quickly across the network.
So we're talking about phone, text, internet. I mean, you're monitoring it everywhere?
Sure. This is regular landline, we call them wireline calls, mobile calls, mobile data sessions. We do internet protocol traffic, internet traffic, all those things. Yes, we can see them as a whole. We can look for patterns and trends, and we react to make sure that the traffic flows the way it's supposed to.
I keep thinking, I mean, when I first walked in here and you guys showed me this operation, I saw it from an extraordinary vantage point. They opened up these big windows, and the glass opened up, and the GNOC hit you, and I'm thinking, no, I heard about it, but I didn't think this would be it. I'm thinking, what was it like before this Global Network Operations Center existed? What did you have?
There was a smaller center. There was a lot of pieces that were done separately. So it's been a long transformation for us to get to one command and control center. It's much easier to command a network this size from one center rather than having pieces scattered around. It just makes it easier for chain of command.
Okay, 24/7 operation. You were telling me that you work night shifts times because there are different people who have your job at different times of the day. But the people who are here working, what do they do and what information do they communicate to you, the person in your role at certain times of the day, because you are a 24/7 operation?
Sure. So the folks here are watching they're surveilling portions of the network that they're experts in. So we have subject matter experts here, and they're watching certain things. They have tools that will alert them to potential problems. It may not even be a customer affecting problem, but a problem in the network where we want to do something so that customers never see it. They see those on their tools. They will bring the information up through, we have a dedicated chain of command up to what's called a network duty officer. The network duty officer is always on station, ready to react, and they will decide how we respond.
How much pressure do you feel?
Normally,
why do you take a deep breath when I say this?
It really all depends on the situation.
What was that during Sandy? What was it like for you?
It wasn't so bad. We've been doing hurricanes for quite a while. Because we have network down in the southeast, other parts of the country, other parts of the world where there's typhoons and hurricanes, we've been through this many, many times. So it wasn't so bad. It's those weird ones, those really crazy ones, like the Japanese earthquake. That was kind of that was a big one. That was a little pressure. We had, there's a lot going on. We're worldwide, so it's a lot we had to take in and understand.
Let me ask you this. We're going from very serious situations, but I have to ask you this because a lot of people know AT&T for this. You know what's coming, right?
Maybe.
Okay. American Idol. What's it like?
Yeah.
What's that like?
So the first couple of years, American Idol, we had a lot of resources dedicated to making sure that the calls flowed.
A lot of calls.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not even sure what the numbers, but we're talking billions. Not only phone calls into the hotlines, but text messages, mobile phone calls into the hotline. All those things combined to really, really stress the network, I guess is a good term. But now it's a matter of course. We've been doing it for several years. We know what we're doing. We have everything in place ahead of time, and our call throughput is excellent. I don't think there's been a missed call yet.
Finally, before I let you go, I was here one time before without the cameras, and you folks were kind enough to let our cameras in to show as much as we could show, given the security concerns. The kind of people who do work here, beyond the technology, which is extraordinary, who are the people who work here, and what do they bring to the table?
So almost everybody here is from New Jersey, lives in New Jersey. There's been some transplants, but just about everybody here is from New Jersey, lives and works in the area here.
What kind of skills?
So a lot of them, they all have different skills. We have what's called subject matter experts. Everybody's kind of an expert in their own little piece. So we have somebody that's maybe an expert in telephone switching. Then maybe another expert who's in charge of understanding cell towers and how that works with the network. Then we have maybe other folks who understand internet protocol traffic and routers and all that kind of new age stuff, voice over IP. And they all kind of understand their little piece so that they have that dedicated focus and are an expert in that field. Then they can transmit that knowledge up the chain so that I can get it as a whole.
Bottom line is customers benefit big time.
Absolutely, absolutely. And like I said, it's all the things the customers never see. There's stuff that happens every day, all day, and most of the time customers are never impacted.
Mike, I want to thank you for taking the time to help explain an extraordinary operation, and we'll be talking to some of your colleagues and including them in other segments of our programming. But we appreciate you inviting us to the GNOC, which stands for, again?
Global Network Operations Center.
Thanks to the folks at AT&T. Thanks.
Sure, no problem.
If you would like more information on this program, or if you'd like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Visit us online at oneonone.org, or find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato, PhD.
Bob Garrett is President and Chief Executive Officer, Hackensack University Health Network. Good to see you, Bob.
Good to see you, Steve. Thanks for having me.
Great having you. Last time we were here, since last time, a lot has happened.
Yes.
We're about to go to a video clip from an opening, big opening, Hackensack UMC at Pascack Valley. Back on June 1st, a big opening. About to see Governor Christie on this. Why is this opening of this hospital so significant in New Jersey and in the nation?
It's the first newly licensed hospital, Steve, in an entire generation in New Jersey. It's been 30 years since a new hospital was licensed in New Jersey. For the residents of Bergen County, northern New Jersey, the Pascack, Northern Valley regions, this was a huge deal. They were so used to having Pascack Valley Hospital, very convenient, very accessible.
Closed down.
And when it closed down back in 2007, they were really without access to a local hospital. So it was really our mission to reopen it. We wanted to restore the essential healthcare services to that community. And I have to say the community was great all the way through. They were very supportive, never wavered. The elected officials, the folks that live in the community, the ambulance squads, the doctors and nurses, everybody was on board throughout the entire period while it was shut down. And that, at the end of the day, made the difference in terms of it getting approved and the hospital being reopened.
Well, you saying it is one thing, and that's important. Want to hear the governor say it?
Sure.
Let's take a look at Governor Christie back on June 1st at a very important opening.
We know that providing quality health care to the citizens of our state is one of the most important responsibilities of government. And so I'm thrilled that as this process went forward, and I know it's never as fast as people want it to be. But what I also know is that what matters the most is that you come out to the right result. And I'm thrilled this morning that this is happening and that we can be part of it together.
Bob, that day, I mean, because, full disclosure, I've said this before, I've done some teaching, coaching, and at Hackensack. I know the organization well, and I remember you guys getting ready for this. That was a tough decision to go in and do that. I mean, you have to make a decision. Hey, we're going to do this. We're going to enter into this. What goes into a decision when a hospital closes down because the economics don't work, tough situation? What goes into a decision, hey, we're going to step in and do this? It hasn't been done in 30 years.
It hadn't been done in 30 years. Frankly, there was a lot of risk, but what we assessed was what I said before. The community support was really very, very strong. We felt from the beginning the hospital didn't close because of a lack of need, because of lack of community support. There were unfortunately some poor management choices that were made in the past that led to the closure, but we knew in our hearts that it was the right call because there was a lot of support in the community. We felt the hospital was really needed. The essential services should be restored. So at the end of the day, the governor's support, the Commissioner of Health support for this project obviously made all the difference in the world, but you know what? They did hear the voices of the community loud and clear.
Economic impact?
Huge. You know, just having a thriving hospital in a community brings back, you know, literally hundreds of jobs.
As opposed to a shell?
Correct. So hundreds of jobs right at the hospital, plus local businesses being restored. When the hospital closed, restaurants went out of business. Local businesses did close up or relocate, and we're already starting to see that resurgence of the business community since June 1st.
You know, it's interesting because we've talked about a lot of this off the air, and we talk about partnerships, we talk about mergers, we talk about relationships.
Right.
You're big on this.
Yes.
Very big on this. Mountainside,
right.
Another hospital, went through a lot of changes in the community I live in.
Right.
Okay. Now is known as?
Hackensack UMC Mountainside.
Got it. That's just one of many different
Right.
partnerships. Why are these partnerships, and that's just beginning to scratch the surface, why not just say, look, we're just going to be strong ourselves,
Right.
We're going to take care of ourselves, our own bottom line, and we're not going to be into all these partnerships. Why can't you? Why don't you do that?
Well, you know, you have to recognize that you can't be everything to all people, and you bring partners on that have certain skills. So with respect to Pascack Valley and Mountainside, our partner is LHP. So what do they bring to the table?
What is LHP? Put that in context.
It's a private hospital firm out of Texas. So they bring essential capital to the table, and they bring management expertise. Our forte at Hackensack is really running an academic medical center, one of the largest in the country. Their forte is really running smaller community hospitals, so they have that expertise to do each and every day. And they bring essential capital to the table. Let's face it, you know, it's expensive to grow a network today. We want to preserve some of that capital back at the flagship hospital, Hackensack University Medical Center. This gives us the opportunity to really expand our network through this partnership in a very, very swift manner with a partner that's well known, that's grounded, and that can bring that capital and management expertise to the table.
The other thing we've talked about with other hospital executives we've had on, Bob, has to do with the advent of what's about to happen as we do this program as we get toward late summer of 2013. What are some of your greatest concerns with the Affordable Care Act coming into play? Look, everyone says it's happening in the beginning of 2014. It's been happening.
Right.
Biggest changes you see, biggest challenges and opportunities. Loaded question, I know.
Yeah, you know, I think one of the biggest concerns that I have is that when the Affordable Care Act was passed, there were automatic cuts to the Medicare program that were made to help pay for the additional people that were going to be insured. Unfortunately, there's been delays in some of those people getting insured and being able to access the healthcare system. So there's still a great deal of the population that's uninsured, but those automatic cuts to pay for what was going to be an expansion of insurance have already taken effect. So that's significantly hurting hospitals and physicians. So because of delays in the implementation of the Affordable Care Act, but unfortunately the cuts to pay for that expansion already being in place, it's really a big challenge for hospitals. You know, from an opportunity perspective, I think, you know, ultimately if the system can be rolled out like it was originally planned, and people do get the insurance, or at least the folks that were underinsured do have access to good health insurance, I think it's a good thing. It'll be a good thing for our state. It will be a good thing for our nation.
The health exchange, you think much about that?
Yeah, we do. We'll have to see how that plays out. It's
a lot of unknowns.
A lot of unknowns. It's off to a rocky start. I think the federal government did not anticipate so many states not wanting to step up and participate, including New Jersey.
Governor Christie said, "Feds, you do it. We're not going to do it."
Exactly. Governor Christie said that. Many other governors across the nation said that. And I think the federal government, frankly, is a little bit overwhelmed in the implementation. That's why everything has been delayed. They never anticipated that so many states would opt out, or at least say to the federal government, "You run it."
When you look at your place, okay? Because one of the things that always interests me is the U.S. News and World Report always comes out with rankings.
Right.
And a real quick synopsis of some of the rankings. We can't go through all of them. Hackensack comes out where?
We come out number 1 in New Jersey. We were ranked in 10 national categories, meaning in 10 clinical categories, we were one of the top 50 hospitals in the entire nation. So by far, that puts us as number 1 in New Jersey. We're also very pleased that those rankings put us in the top 3 in the entire metropolitan area. And if you think about it, you have some of the finest, well-known academic medical centers in the New York, New Jersey metropolitan area. We are in that top 3 with hospitals like Columbia Presbyterian and NYU.
But Bob, here's the reason I ask it. How much does that really matter? I mean, in the scheme of things, everyone fights to want to be there.
Right.
And those who aren't there say it's not that important, of course,
it matters,
for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But when you're there, what do you do with it?
Well, it matters because it's first of all, it's a great thing for New Jersey. So people that need specialized care don't necessarily have to travel into New York or to Philadelphia to get that care, because U.S. News and World Report recognizes hospitals that excel in providing specialized care. It's a great reflection on our team, on the quality of care that's provided. It helps us in recruitment of physicians and nurses, creating a very stable workforce. But most importantly, it's a pride for our state and our region to have a hospital like Hackensack University Medical Center nationally recognized by U.S. News and World Report.
In the final 30 seconds, healthcare world is unpredictable and challenging, but you remain optimistic that you can navigate these choppy waters.
I do.
10 seconds or less.
I don't get much sleep at night, but I'm optimistic.
Thank you, Bob. President and CEO, Hackensack University Health Network, expanding every day. Thank you, Robert.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating 25 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by PSE&G, TD Charitable Foundation, Prudential Foundation, Roche, the Newark Public Schools, Terrell Fund, New Jersey Natural Gas, proud to support education in our communities, the MCJ Amelia Foundation, and by the Merck Company Foundation. Promotional support provided by the Star Ledger and NJ.com, Everything Jersey. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area. One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been produced in partnership with St. Joseph's Healthcare System.